for the Dawning Festival tournaments, where you guys were attempting to get in and stop whatever plan the Brotherhood had for creating some type of coup against the kingdom and the king. While there, you guys made a few discoveries, met a few people, including people from Aaron's temple in the Temple of Sunni, as well as one of Ithamor's fathers at the Onyx Pyramid. There was a bit of a argument in the group, which led to a split of the party in 4 different directions, and it's still actually mid-afternoon at this point, I believe. So with that, I think we can get in.
Everyone is like, I'm opening up my notes.
And with that, we can get back into it. At this point, it is still mid-afternoon, probably around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock.
I'm glad that I have my backup character basically gone.
Shh.
in case.
Alright, shush. So yes, Serafina and Seren, you were staying at a cafe for lunch at the time. Ithamor and Aaron, you guys were in the Temple of Sunni, having a small lunch there in the cafeteria. Ulan, you were by the river edge, meditating.
Was it only lunch?
You haven't had lunch.
Way later than that.
No, you haven't had lunch yet.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because you were distracted by other things and running away from people.
Jumping on cliff like a badass.
And Wilbur is currently missing and enjoying a dirt nap. So yeah, who actually wants to go first? The double S's or the religious folk? That's the 2 groups now. As well as Ulan, who actually, what's Ulan going to be doing for the time being? Because one, he's still probably realizing he's hungry at this point.
Well, if I realised that I was hungry on the way to the temple, I would have just got distracted by food and gone in search of a snack. I want the medieval
Muffins.
equivalent of a hot dog.
Oh yeah, you're right by the beach side there, which is pretty much most of that river edge there, which is kind of like small. It's kind of like Cornwall. It's not like a beach. It's more like Pebble Beach. So yeah, you can easily find some type of stand that sells.
Is there any kind of
hand food,
obscure animal on a stick, like a squirrel on a stick, or a a corn dog that's clearly a rat? Or
you're in the commons, so yes, there would be some type of meat on a stick. They wouldn't say what type of meat.
That's fine. I'm not picky. I will have some stick meat.
But it does look like good reference that.
Wow.
That's from our Sunday session. But yeah, you can get some type of food on a stick, and
cool.
It'd probably only be like a silver.
Sweet.
You probably actually get 2 for a silver, actually. So you can eat those by the side. And around this time, it's actually pretty peaceful where you are. It's less busy because it's away from the main marketplace, and you're not actually in the capital at this point. So there's a few people walking around, especially by the riverside. But it's quieter than you probably would imagine a city would be, especially of this size. Mostly probably because you're near the temple, which means generally people would only come here if they're going to the temple itself.
Just as a kind of to fast forward and not waste too much time before Lenito dies, I want to obtain some writing and drawing supplies.
Okay. How fancy you want to be with it?
Do
you want good parchment, or are you just looking for
I guess
couple pages?
I want a... Well, what I'm picturing in my head is, like a medieval monk doing the fancy lettering and stuff in a book.
Calligraphy?
Yeah, well, like, but with the
illumination.
Illumination, thank you. Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
I kind of want, a thing for Ulan to start writing down his adventures. So.
Okay. Yeah. You can get like a small journal pad. Actually, probably in the Commons as well. Commons isn't as nice a book, but it's still a pretty decent level bound book with a good number of pages in it.
And I'll need like a quill and
ink, yeah. I think there's
different coloured inks as well.
I think there's a page on that, but we can probably come up to a sum of about 6 silver.
Okay.
Yeah, about 6 silver. So yeah, mark that off, and let's jump to one of the other groups. Seren and Serafina, sure. You guys were having your cafe meal in one of the alleyways over in the market area. What are you guys going to do now?
Go to the Kilimbo Temple.
Kilimbo Temple, okay.
Yep.
Alright, so you guys start walking in that direction. Okay, yeah, you guys can go pretty much straight there. It will take you guys probably, I think I said about an hour to get over there. As you're walking past the Sunni Temple, Aaron and Ithamore, what are you guys going to do? As Aaron, this is your place, and Ithamore, it's a little strange for you being here, considering the atmosphere is very different, but...
Well, I haven't got anything planned.
How about we go shopping? I'm sure we can find something useful for the journey.
The problem with shopping is we don't have any money right now. I don't even know how much money we've got.
Well, we can always go look, and then we report back to the others, and then we can decide if we want to spend or not.
More window shopping.
Are you gonna be looking for weapons and armor?
May do, but I'll just generally looking for anything that could be useful. So trinkets, rings, cloaks.
Sure.
I'm sure we can find something pretty for you to look at.
Alright, so you guys exit the temple. Yeah, you may notice Seren and Serafina walking around the walls, heading east. It would be about the same time, considering they would have to walk a little bit.
Do they look busy?
I think they're just sauntering in that direction. I don't think they're in a rush.
I call out, Mr. Serafina, Seren, over here.
I'll turn around and look at them. Turn in their direction. Oh, hi.
How have you two been?
Well, we talked with the wizard and the tower, and we ate some lunch, and now we actually was making our way to your temple.
Any particular reason?
Darren got a weapon that is cursed.
I look at Seren and say, okay. Sure. So, you're hoping that the crowds at my temple can lift the curse, or what?
I'm wondering if D is suited.
No, I'm on push to talk. I just didn't know what to say in response. Sorry.
Oh, alright.
Actually, out of character, we were heading back there to do something. Was it with the axe, or was it something that you needed to experiment with,
Well,
and we just needed...
We were going there because I needed to go there anyway. Where we wanted to find somebody who could remove the curse.
Okay, that was why we were okay. Yeah. We were hoping that might be possible.
I nod them across my shoulder and say, have you thought about trying here first to save yourself some walk? I'm sure they have clerics who are just as skilled in such matters.
Even I can break curses.
Certainly. It was just the first place we thought of to go, that's all.
So, which one do you want to go to? Do you want to go here now you're here, or to my temple?
Since we're here, we might as well go in. Aaron, do you know who we would ask about such a thing?
Me, for example?
Oh?
You don't want me to break the curse?
I didn't know you could.
I can.
But if you can, that'd be nice.
As cleric in party doesn't ask.
No, it wouldn't occur to her in character to ask. I don't, it's... Mm-hmm.
So what's cursed? And will breaking the curse break all the power you have in that item, or not?
It shouldn't break the enchantment.
I'll look at Saren. Shouldn't. Are we okay with shouldn't?
Aaron, you can do Arcana, I guess. As well.
Wow.
Hmm, 16. There are generally two different things, an enchantment and a curse. So they shouldn't affect each other.
Okay, so what's cursed? What do you have that's cursed?
I'll hold out the axe.
Oh, the axe. Alright, I'll cast... What's the spell? Remove curse. There we go.
Is that instant, or...?
It is.
Oh, okay then, yeah. Yeah. You hold out the axe to Aaron. Aaron puts both hands on the axe, and you can see that same glow he usually has, this kind of light pinky purple, which emanates off his hands and then across the axe. And as it starts to emanate across the axe, there seems to be a very almost like a thin trail of black, almost like smoke, but it's almost like a wire that begins to unwrap itself from the actual handle itself. And as it begins to unwrap itself more and more, it begins to almost fizzle out and almost just turn into vapor. And as he takes his hand off, the rest of the wire of this black smoke seems to just evaporate into the air and vanish.
Would I be able to tell that it had worked?
Get someone to attack you and see if you have the urge to attack them back.
Huh. So the spell actually does not remove curses.
It just removes the entombment.
Pretty misleading spell.
What?
Remove curse, but if the object is a cursed magic item, the curse remains. Nice.
So you can remove a curse from a person, but you can't remove a curse from an item.
Yeah, because the curse remains on you until, well, I think forever.
I'm changing it. It does that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. It breaks the curse. GM ruled. Done.
Hi guys, I can remove curses, but I really don't. So.
To be fair though, that is a pretty Aaron spell.
It just like kind of just removes it from you. Yeah, that's a little weird. All right, yeah, it removes the curse. Done.
Does it feel any different? I mean,
And always try to take out one of your other weapons. And
considering
try to
you're
service
attuned to it, you probably would feel it slightly different. It doesn't feel as heavy. And there isn't that kind of weird pulsing from it. Almost like a kind of the same feeling you have during your rage, but inside the axe that seems to be pushed back and suppressed.
okay.
Oh. Did it
Well,
work?
it feels better. Lighter, almost, in a strange way.
Good, good.
So I think so.
That's the intended effect.
I'll put the axe away. Well, Serafina, what else do we need to do? What else did we have on our agenda for this afternoon? Since my little issue seems to have been resolved.
Oh, I wanted to do some enchantment.
Oh, that's right. That's the other thing you wanted to do, yeah.
Enchantment?
Enchantment!
Thank you, Dee.
Welcome.
It's magic.
Oh, thank you. I'm singing.
Well, Ithelmore wants to look for weapons of destruction and armor of protection. I know nothing about this, so...
General gear, I said. I think we need to get some better gear for the tournament.
Might not be a bad thing to look into, but I believe our party funds are elsewhere at the moment.
Well, it's one hit to Loxa, and we can get an idea and then go back later to buy.
No, it's a good point. Then we'd know where it is instead of having to look all over again.
Yeah.
So, what's the plan?
Serafina, did you want to do the enchantment now? How long do you need?
Totally, I would need 15 hours, but I can break it into 3 sessions.
Okay. And we've just had lunch, so effectively you kind of need to do one. Oh God, what? Starting relatively soon in order to be able to. Well, no, 5 hours. We just actually, Ambi, roughly what time is it? I know you just said we have lunch, but
it was late lunch.
It was late lunch, so I said it was around 2:30 at this point, probably 3.
Okay.
So yeah, at this point, the rest of the most of the city's probably chilled out a little bit more. Everyone's had lunch, so there's less traffic moving around. Most of the deliveries have been made, so there's less caravans on the road. There'd still be a lot of people walking around at this point, tourists, shoppers, but yeah. So, are you foregoing shopping then? Is that what I'm hearing?
We could, unless Serafina would prefer to start now, in which case I'll go back to the temple with her. If she doesn't mind waiting, if you want to start now, I will happily go back to the temple with you. It's fine.
Can go
Even
there
though
myself.
it is weapon shopping.
I can go there myself. It is protected and.
Why didn't you take Master Aaron for company? He's not that interested in shopping, so I'm sure he'd be okay with accompanying you for a little bit and having some conversation. What do you say to that, Master Aaron?
Sure, I haven't been in your temple a lot.
Well, I have the things on me, so I can't do it here, but I can go to the temple too.
Whichever you prefer.
That's kind of my sentence.
If more you're not sure if they would allow you actually in your room as you're not present, as that would be a little weird.
Yeah, let's go to mine. I can get us tea, biscuits, and I can.
They'd be more comfortable here at Temple Suni, I think. And you also closer for us to come back to talk about what we've found and if we should buy it.
Yeah, and I got this new sweet thing that's a peanut and a bit of a. You just have to taste it.
Wow.
That sounds interesting.
I think they call it tough. I cannot get my finger on tell.
I think that sounds like a plan.
Well, we'll meet you here in 3-4 hours. Do you think, Saren?
I've been known to get lost in armor and weapon shops longer than that, but sure.
Well, yeah, because we need to get back here and decide, and hopefully Master Ulan will be back by then.
With luck.
Master Aaron could send him a message, but I think he'd rather be left alone for the time being, so I'd suggest against that.
Yeah, let's just not bother him till maybe supper time rolls around and just to check in with him or something at that point.
Yeah.
Talking of checking in, has anyone seen Master Wilbur?
Not since he left earlier, no.
I hope he's not getting into trouble.
I'm sure he's fine.
Well, it doesn't sound like the Commons is burning down, so he can't be in too much trouble. He hasn't started a riot.
And we haven't gotten notice of him being arrested yet either, so how bad could it be?
Well, at least we will see him in the morning when the tournament starts.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, shopping.
Off we go.
We'll see you guys later then. Good day.
Have a good shopping trip.
Thank you.
Alright then. You two going shopping. Ethel, you've been around most of the armory area. One, because you wear armor, so. Although you may have got most of it from the quartermaster, from your temple, but you probably would have had a look. You know it's mostly against the back wall over here, where you can see a little bit of a smoke trail in the sky of where the forges would be going at this point. So you two can head over in that direction.
I should take Saren there.
Which, just approaching it, is very easy to tell there's loud machinery going. You can hear flames erupting from furnaces. this definitely reminds you, Saren, a little bit of home, of the forges and a lot of the smelters. And the populace of the area is a little bit more dwarven, just from the workers and the smithies. There's still a few other humans, even a couple elves actually around.
Oh god, I don't want to roll on perception to see if I recognize anyone. Ignorance is bliss, my dear.
Fair enough. So yeah, you guys walk around. And yeah, there's a few shops both opposite and in some of the forge and smelters, which seem to be selling various types of mail, plate, various weapons of both composite materials as well as pure metal. There's a few different types of metals as well. There's the more common steel. There's a few using some more racial materials of both dwarven and elven materials as well as a few alloys as well. And considering it is King's Arch, there is a lot of magical items as well. Not as much as Cliffridge, but definitely nothing to sniff at. As lots of them seem to have both enchantment runes inscribed in them, as well as magicite stones actually placed in some of them as sockets.
That's really cool.
I just window shop, occasionally pointing things out to Saren and commenting on them, saying how nice they are, but how far they are out of our price range. And
yeah, most of them seem to be from some of the very basic ones, which seem to be around 200 gold to all the way up to like 10,000.
Yikes!
Which it catches your fancy as it's this giant, giant cleaver axe.
Oh,
which is
wow!
pretty
Of course
much
it is.
pretty much the same size as you, which is just like adorned with both normal gemstones as well as magicite stones. It's a little ostentatious.
Yeah, it's a little bit not my style, but
and then
it's still an axe.
And then there's still in the betweens of some of the stuff you've already seen when you were in Cliffridge, of just sets of elemental weapons that seem to be some of the more popular items of long swords, short swords, with just small magicite stones placed into their hilts or into the actual blade itself. And there's also a couple
swords. I'd just take a little closer look at the swords, just looking at them.
They're a little similar to the ones you saw in Cliffridge already. The ones of both fire, ice, wind, as well as some arcane ones as well, which seem to be very much just pure arcane force. And as you're looking around, there also seems to be more carving, wood carving places as well, which seem to be doing staves, bows as well, which seem to be very composite material of both metal and wood combined together. So there's definitely a variety here in this place. This is definitely the location you want to be if you're looking for armaments. There's also a few guards walking around which seem to be inspecting stuff as well.
I point to a dragon-headed staff and say, I bet Masulan would love that staff.
Actually, he would. It's a beautiful piece, actually.
I look at the price and go, 10 grand's probably out of our price range.
Just a tiny bit.
That would probably only be about 5. This one actually seems to have an inscription on the back of the tab, which seems to have dragon breath staff.
We'll have to remember this for later.
Can you see anything pretty for Master Aaron?
Not particularly.
There's shields about. Obviously, they would be mostly metal. There's some various shapes of both crest-shaped, square-shaped circle. All again adorned with either rune patterns with gems or actual metrosite stones placed in various patterns as either offensive type shields or defensive type shields. There's some very small ones which look like bucklers, which seem to be heavily enchanted for duelist purposes. And there's some spears as well, which you probably all would have noticed already.
I don't think I've ever actually seen Aaron fight. I've seen him heal, but that's about it.
He doesn't like fighting. He's more of a support than anything. I'm sure you all might be telling me this, but before we met you, we were fighting a cult, and to save Master Ulan's life, he had to kill one of the cultists, and he took it pretty hard. And at some point, Master Ulan decided to swap his plane staff for Master Aaron's spear, so that Master Aaron wouldn't have something that could kill as easily, something that was more bludgeoning and less lethal. But all in all, I think he'd rather not fight at all. If he gets involved, he'd far rather just be there to heal and protect.
I can understand that. It's not everyone.
Yes, he's. I think he's far too gentle a soul to ever be a fighter.
I'm gonna go be distracted by the pretty axe again. It's shiny.
It is very shiny. And this seems to be a very... the shop itself is a very dwarven shop. It's a little smaller than the rest of the shops, although the door is accommodating for everyone. But all the stands seem to be a little shorter, and the axe itself is just placed on actual metal stand to keep it up. And approaching it, it is very expensive. Even just like peering at the tag, it looks like it's about 25,000.
I'd come up behind and say, maybe you could always arm wrestle the smith for it.
I don't think that'll work. I think the smith might have the upper hand in this matter. Oh well, it's lovely to look at anyway. Actually, I was just rethinking my refusal to roll perception. I would roll perception too. I would want to know if anybody I knew was around, because I'd want to avoid them.
Yeah, okay. Sure, roll a perception. Yeah, none of them really catching your eye. Some of them seem to have like some features which make you think of like probably far off cousins, which is definitely possible considering you came from a mining town. So probably some of them probably came up to the King's Arch eventually, but none of them seem to be immediate family that you know. Yeah, you also notice a bunch of other adventurers that seem to be walking around this part as well. None of them that you seem to know, but you can at least tell from what they're wearing. Some of these guys mean business. Like fully kitted out armor, weapons, and
like us walking around, basically.
Basically, it looks like you guys as well. So yeah.
I will discreetly point them out to Ithamore.
I glance over and just look them up and down, and then look back to Saren and say, "Think they're in the tourney as well?"
I would almost count on it.
Yeah, as you guys walk around, you do, you would actually notice a familiar face again of Gallant, as well as the other person he was walking with, another tiefling, in a lot of even more ostentatious clothes of almost this bright violet. And even more decorative gold shoulder ornaments, as well as on her hip as well, which very easily makes out that she wants to be seen by everyone. They don't notice you. They seem to be also inspecting some of the weapon shops as well.
Is it just me that noticed?
Ithamore, what was your passive again? It's just 11?
12.
12. Yeah, you would have picked up eventually. As most of the people here are very plainly dressed, or at least just normally armored. These two kind of stick out. One being tieflings, being still pretty rare in this part of the world.
Two of them together and quite ornamentally dressed.
And very ornamentally dressed, yeah. It's very obvious to spot them.
I hear Saren whisper, "I wondered where he got to. I'm sure I saw him earlier. About."
Huh. I wonder what he's been up to.
And you notice them walking further northwards up the main street a little bit more. And you notice, you notice pretty easily. He seems to be following the other person instead of the other way around.
How very interesting.
Keeping about 1 step behind.
Oh no, that is interesting. It's a rather subservient position.
So, you guys continue your window shopping. Do you inspect anything else in particular, or you just look around at the pretty stuff?
I just check out the plate armor, see if there's anything nice there. Even though it will be definitely out of my price range.
Again, there is a bit more of a variety. There is obviously the very high scale, especially in the capital here. Although there is the very basic, simple enchantments placed on some of the plate, which plate in itself is pretty expensive. But fortunately, enchantments are very easy to do, as there's a lot of space to work on.
Anything that comes in black?
There's some dark steels. Most of it uses some type of carbon steel. But yeah, there's different varnished it. That's not even a word. Brandished. It's types of steel. As you look around and see different types of designs, and some of them seem very basic. Some even become a little ornamental almost, with some of the elven designs. And you find eventually one smithy actually uses mithril, which gives it a very it's a little bit of a strange, almost opal shine to his works.
I let out a low whistle and being impressed and pointed out to Saren.
That's wow. I might actually consider wearing that. It's actually quite lovely.
And there is no tag.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Which you also know is actually on none of his works.
And now I'm curious.
There's no way we could ever afford this.
Well, no. No. Is that going to stop you from asking?
I don't know. I know what it is. This must be custom work. He must just be showing off his custom work, and these are just waiting to be collected by the people who've commissioned him.
You think that, but there's quite a number of pieces out on display, all with no tags.
I look around and say, maybe he's just a very, very fast worker. Is there anyone around? Any shopkeepers or man in the shop?
Not from the looks of it, no. You can hear the slight tingling of metal in the back, which would just be a slightly ajar door, which would then lead into kind of like an open courtyard area, which you can tell because of sunlight coming through.
I look down at Sarah and see what she wants to do.
We're going in.
I follow her.
Okay. You step through the open door and slightly open a little bit more so you can pass through. And it is a open courtyard of about probably about 20 by 20. And in the center is well, it's more to the side is the actual forge, but in the center is the actual workspace of a pretty decently kept anvil, forge, and hammering set with quite a tall elf, probably about 6'2" in height, with a very, very muscular build for an elf. Like broader shoulders than you would ever expect for an elf, and actual muscles, because generally elves are very slim.
Okay,
like
this is improving.
But he seems to actually have proper muscle mass on his form. And he's hammering away, again, with this very strange metal, which, with every hit, seems to almost give off the ting sound of the hit, but then it also seems to vibrate with kind of almost a singing hum of some type of note. And he's just hammering away with blonde hair fully tied back in a bun.
I remain quiet, not wanting to disturb him at work, because it looks very delicate and looks like he needs to concentrate.
Yeah, he seems to be working on some type of longsword at the moment, although it's not a standard human design. It seems to be more of the elven curved design to it. And you notice while working, his hammer is slightly different from a normal hammer you've seen. It's almost pitch black in color, and the tip itself is heated, probably magically heated, because it seems to keep a heat constantly while he's working. And he doesn't seem to notice you at all.
Is this something I've seen before?
Yeah, actually, you probably would. Yeah, considering how many times you've probably been in some type of forge.
Yeah.
It's
Holy crap! It is Ron's hammer.
it's basically some form of enchanted hammer to keep a heat to it. Obviously, design is different, as a dwarven hammer for smithing would be larger and have a larger, flatter head. This seems to be a little thinner.
A little more delicate.
A little bit more delicate, yeah. But yeah, it's pretty much the same principle, it seems.
Okay. I'll point it out, just completely chattering away about the forging. Just because it's kind of sort of her thing a little bit.
Yeah. Of all the things that is Seren's thing, smithing is probably one of them.
Also, like blonde, muscular men as well. But
Shush.
He is
That
both
has
of those
nothing
things.
to do with this.
Oh, see, does he look like Thor as an elf?
If Thor was an elf, maybe. Yeah, long blonde hair, muscular. He doesn't have any facial hair, obviously, because he's looks like a full blood elf. And he doesn't really have the chin line because elves have very pointed chins. But sure, there's like a little bit of it there.
Honestly. In the midst of chattering, if it looks like he's gonna pause or change or do anything slightly different, I will speak up and not in an attempt, not really interrupt him, but if he looks like he's about to pause or change what he's doing, because I don't want to interrupt the flow of his work.
He would eventually put it back into the forge to heat it again.
There you go.
Yeah.
At that point, then.
Do you just like shout out to him, or?
Well, yeah, I'll call out to him. Greetings. We were passing by your shop and came in to watch your work, but we wanted to inquire about the prices of your displayed pieces.
He doesn't look in your direction, but he just seems to keep an eye on the fire instead. They are not for sale. They are priceless.
Hence the lack of price tags then.
An excellent point, Ithamore.
I only give them to those that I see are worthy to carry works from my predecessors. These are works that have been passed down from my generations. And he's still keeping an eye on the fire, not looking in your direction at all.
Yeah, well, no, that's perfectly reasonable.
How about works of your own? Do you sell them, or do you just mean that
They are incomplete. I still have a way to go. And he pulls it out and begins hammering again. This time, even more focused, it seems.
So, out of curiosity, even though I doubt we'd measure up, what qualifies as being worthy to receive such fine works?
He actually slows his hammering. He keeps on doing it, but then he gives a very brief look in your direction. And then turns back to the hammering again. You look like adventurers. If you are...
We are.
You probably do things not for yourself. That is a step in the right direction that I look for.
But only one step. I'm sure it's a very long road to tread.
To do something for your country is few do. He seems to be very slow in those last words, but then carry on hammering away, focused on the metal, and again you hear the same noise and then the with every hit.
I'll look over to Sarah and see if she's got anything to say.
No, I'll just gently shake my head and then nod towards the doorway again. It would probably be best if we leave him to his work.
Agreed. We're just a distraction. Good day to you, sir. Maybe one day we will return and be found worthy. Although I'm sure it's a very high standard. I bow to him.
Yep, and then we'll make our way out.
Alright then.
As after we've gone out the door and as we're going back into the street, I just glance at the stuff on display and Sarah and I say, I bet he's got some enchantments or something that stops people stealing them. Otherwise, this shop would be bare by now.
Yeah, that's an excellent, or safe assumption, rather.
Usually you can make a perception. Alright then, yeah. You both notice it. Ithamore, you notice it first. Mostly because you've definitely seen it around the place. You notice a seal. A very specific seal. One related to the King's Guild. That seems to be displayed against the entry to the shop.
See, what's the significance of that? Does it mean they protect the shop or something?
It's kind of like a neighborhood watch sort of thing, showing that this is protected by the King's Guild.
As we step out into the street, I say something. Come on. Maybe in a century or two, we will be able to come back here and be found worthy.
In a century, too? Yeah, you're probably right. It will take that long.
Shame the others won't be around then.
No.
Just be the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Okay, really?
And
Okay.
I soft pause with those that. God, that sounds depressing.
Yes, it does. So glad you recognized that fact.
Come on, let's do more window shopping. Cheer ourselves up. Look, there's a nice hammer over there for you.
Oh, all right, where?
And you should begin window shopping for more wondrous items of
We're just gonna be at
expensiveness. So Ulan, you finished eating your wonderful meat on sticks.
It was fantastic.
It was actually pretty nice. They had some interesting marinated sauce on it. It was probably it was a little tangy. So yeah, what are you gonna do now? Are you just gonna stay by the river edge, or gonna go for a walk?
I would probably just wander around the commons, just trying to get a feel for being in a big city. Not so much like touristy looking at the sights, but more just trying to like soak in the atmosphere and the vibe and everything.
Considering where you are, you're pretty close to most of the residential area, which is most of the central area. So you definitely get a big sense of the general townsfolk people, which is still pretty wealthy, considering they're in the commons area. All the buildings are stone based, and they're 2 or 3 stories high for each building.
Okay.
And it does seem to be there's some type of water system actually in the in this district. Everything seems to be actually pretty well maintained, and the closer north you go, it becomes even nicer, even to the point of like a presentation of just I wouldn't say like merchant trade wealth, but middle class,
Okay.
or like lower middle class at least, of people who have a decent amount of expendable currency. But nowhere near what you saw while walking around the actual capital inside the walls.
Okay, and if I head like back towards the entrance to the city, does it get poorer and poorer?
If you keep going southeastward, yes.
Okay, well, I'm Ulan's just walking through and just trying to like learn what it's like and see the people and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Considering you'll be moving into 3 o'clock into more of the afternoon, there would be actually some people coming back from work at this point, or at least from some of the shops, at least. Where some of the houses here look like almost like apartment based, where each like a family or a couple would have one of the floors, and some seem to actually have the entire 3 floors up, or 2 floors, which seems to from varying degrees some type of, there's definitely some chivalry here of some type of level, which is pretty rare to see.
Is there any sort of like homelessness or like poor people anywhere?
The further east you go, it becomes a little more. Most of the buildings themselves become a little less maintained. And do you go further east than the bridge?
The bridge that's at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like as part of my aramente, for lack of a better term, I'm just like, I want to explore everywhere, so I want to see what it's all like.
As soon as you go into the East District, it's very easily known that this would be the lower section. The roads itself are a lot more mossy, less maintained. There doesn't seem to be a sewer system as much. The buildings themselves are also less maintained. The walls aren't as smooth. Some of the brickwork is kind of pulled out a little bit. And there's definitely buildings which are just like completely non-existent at this point. Like the walls have like almost fallen in. Glass is broken. The ceiling itself is collapsed in parts of it, and there would definitely be some levels of homelessness.
Are there any shrines or churches or any like religious significance anywhere?
There would definitely be quite a few actually. As you were moving through each of them, there would always be a temple. Probably one of each that you've seen. You didn't exactly expect each one, but you definitely saw the Fander one, which is definitely most obvious to spot from its circular roof. and with almost like a sundial designed into it.
Would I get a sense of like which, if there are any gods in particular that are more favoured in terms of worship than the others?
Mostly Lathander.
Okay.
And a little bit more of Wakeen, the closer you got to the actual market square.
Is Wakeen luck?
Wakeen is trade.
Trade, okay.
And yeah, there would probably be, there's pretty much one of each. Not completely sure, but
Okay, and what's like the general atmosphere of the poor people? Like, do they seem downtrodden, or do they seem content, or you know?
they seem reasonably content. Not everyone is literally out on the streets. It seems most of them seem to be either just sitting out on the streets because you can't see any like tents or like bedrolls out. It seems they at least use the buildings for shelter. And from the ones you see either walking around or sitting around, they don't seem downtrodden, at least, as they're not like holding like pots out for change or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any like kids playing in the streets, or?
Oh yeah. At this point, yeah, there are definitely kids playing around the street, running around. There's a few parks placed around. Some of them are playing like roll the hoop. Stick fighting is definitely the most notable one. Give me a perception.
Perception.
Yeah. Considering you've been walking around for quite a long time at this point, probably, I want to say probably close to 2 hours, considering you probably went all the way up and then all the way down. Actually, probably a little longer, actually. You spotted an increasing amount of people wearing the spiked will necklace.
Okay.
Especially closer to the lower area, not fully in the lower area, but to the far south, all the way down.
So I presume there's been like a corresponding lack of elves around as well.
Yes, there'll definitely be a majority of human populace.
Am I getting any weird looks for being a dragonborn, or?
Yeah, you probably would be. Nothing too hostile. It would be more from curiosity.
Okay.
But not like full-on stares. It's more acknowledgement that you exist, and then carrying on whatever they're doing. Because as this is mostly a residential side, yeah.
Okay. And what sort of time of day is it at this point?
So at this point, you probably would have moved into 5 o'clock at this point, maybe even later. The sun is definitely pushing behind the Splinter Ridge Mountains.
Okay. And are there any like taverns around, or is it literally just like
taverns galore? Especially around the riverside. There's definitely taverns of various sizes, to inns, motels, full-on bars. A few small dives as well in some of the alleyways you notice. Even a few.
Are there any with like names that would mildly amuse it, like Ulan?
Yeah, there definitely is.
Like the strangled cock or something like that. I don't know.
That sounds terrible.
That is wow. Around here there would be the Brew Brothers Saloon, the Drunk Dog. Definitely be one that's around here. The
Does
Riverbend.
that have an amusing picture of a drunk dog on its sign?
Yeah, there would be a
I will
dog
go in there.
on its side with a cup next to it.
Okay. Yeah, I go into the drunk dog.
You go to the Drunk Dog, which would be pretty close to the edge of town, which would be about down here.
Okay.
Yeah, and this seems to be a place where a lot of the lesser traders have come to, either leaving, well, mostly actually coming to town, as well as a bunch of adventurers that are staying in the area. So it's definitely a bustling place at the moment. It seems pretty much any of the taverns are having a good income of people at the moment. Probably due to the tournament, or just the festival in general.
Okay, well, I will wander in. How many people are in here right now? Ish.
The Drunk Dog's actually quite large for a tavern. It's actually got 3 entrances, at the front, the back, and actually on the side as well. All actually entrances for customers. There seems to be another door for the actual staff. And this is one of the few buildings that would be 3 stories, with a roof as well. So it probably actually has 4, with like a small attic area.
Okay.
And inside, it's pretty packed. Most of the people are either standing around the window edges, like leaning on the window frames, or sitting outside on benches looking across at the river towards the city. As this would be now pretty much closing time for all the basic shops. So yeah, there'd be a lot of traders and a few salesmen here as well.
Okay, and what am I dealing with in terms of like bar staff?
Most of these people would be human. Mostly barmaids walking around, serving drinks or collecting empty glasses. And there's one, probably only one man who's manning the tap. There would be a second person behind, another female behind the actual bar desk thing. What's that called?
You mean
Counter?
the bar?
Counter, thank you.
Oh, okay. Do the if I like take a moment at the entrance, do the barmaids who are collecting glasses seem to be like in a particular area, or are they just all milling about all over the place?
They're milling about everywhere. They're moving through people, collecting glasses from people.
An important follow-up question: are any of them redheads?
Yes.
Okay.
And you were
There's at
teasing
least-
me about the blonde.
There's at least one.
There's at least one. Okay. And I'm presuming this is a wander up to the bar and order a drink place rather than a sit down and they'll come and ask you if you want a drink.
You can either, there's a few people hollering the barmaids to go get a drink for them, or you could go up to the counter and go on from there.
Yeah, I'll go to the counter first then.
Okay. And yeah, you can see the gentleman's a little older. He's probably mid-30s, late 20s. I mean, late 30s, early 40s. Wow. With a little bit of a greying top happening and a little bit of a bushy mustache, of brown hair. That's not fully there, but enough that it's covering a little bit of his mouth.
Is he busy? Like, I need to attract his attention, or is he?
Yeah, he's pretty busy. Pouring out drinks from the tap.
I just wait a moment until I get an opportunity to catch his eye. Just throw him a little sort of like hand signal.
Considering how large you are, that's pretty easy to do. Yeah.
What's the strongest thing you got? You just got ale, or you got any kind of green alcohol going on here?
Strongest from the tap.
Well, anything at all. It's been a bad day. I could use something with a wee bit of kick to it.
Fair enough. And he begins pouring this pretty dark brown liquid from one of them. Places it on the counter and it has a pretty strong foam to it.
What kind of size container am I dealing with? Is it like a pint or
this is like actual flask, not flask.
Flagon.
Flagon. I knew it began with an F. Flagon.
Okay. Is anybody else drinking the same sort of thing?
There's a few, mostly burly mokes, folks. Oh, my words today. I need a drink. Wow.
And does this appear to be like a sipping drink or a like throw it down in one drink?
There's a bit of both.
Okay, I will knock back some of it.
All right, you knock back some of it.
Yeah,
you immediately get this.
Throw it into my mouth to a certain extent. So.
Yeah, you get a pretty strong bitter hit, and then the alcohol actually hits in the back of your throat with this like warm, almost. It's not like a burning, but it's more like this like heating feeling at the back of your throat, kind of like
a whiskey thing.
Yeah, kind of like a whiskey thing. It's not heavily strong, one because of your size. But it has a bit of a kick to it, and then eventually the burning kind of mellows out a little. This looks like something that you just keep on drinking, and to keep that warm.
Not bad. How much for that?
Just a gold piece for the flagon will be fine, and you can keep the thing for the evening. Just come over for a refill, and it'd be 5 silver.
Ah, like the sound of that. And I throw across a gold coin.
Thanks. And he turns to another customer and begins pouring out for actually another one of the same.
Okay, I would like to look around the bar and see if, like, you said there were adventurers and stuff in here.
Oh yeah, bunch of different types. Some look like they've travelled a bit. Others look like they're from the area, mostly from different types of outfits. You've seen it on Swan Hill. You see a few people, probably only about 4 or 5, with the crest on their shoulder from the King's Guild.
The guild. I would like to find a convenient place to subtly eavesdrop and just chill out for a little bit.
Sure, you can blend into the crowd, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to listen out for anything that relates at all to the stuff that we know about. You know, like
all the things I know about. I want to know.
Tournament, the any kind of like grumbling about elves, any kind of mention of the places that we've been, or you know, the name Nev, that kind of stuff.
Okay. They're currently talking about guarding ambassadors from the east, or lack of guarding, the tournament preparations of them not allowed to join. They seem to be. They keep on saying the King's Guild is more for security purposes than actually participating.
Okay.
Which for some of them it seems it's a little bit of a downer. They kind of wanted to be participating instead this year. So it seems the security's been turned up apparently this year.
That's good.
They do talk a little bit and a little bit hushed, which is a little hard to pick out. But the Brotherhood is definitely picking things up recently.
How loudly are they talking about this stuff? Is it just like
they're in a group and there's quite a lot of loud noise anyway, so it's pretty hard for you to pick up all of the things they're saying, but you do pick up these small kind of like excerpts from what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean more. Are they like trying to like talk about it in a hushed way?
Yeah, they're
when
in a
they mention
group
the
in a corner.
Or... Okay.
Yeah, and they seem to be given a little bit of space considering they're from the King's Guild.
Okay. I guess I would just hang out here for a while and just keep an ear out for what's going on.
You give me a perception. As you're just like hanging around by yourself, looking around. Okay. Yeah, you don't notice any other people that catch your attention apart from these folks. The adventures themselves, all again seem to have various degrees. Some of them actually seem to be other races, mostly dwarves and elves. Although the elves seem to be more like half elves from the ears.
Okay.
And a very small amount of tieflings, probably only about 1 or 2.
Any dragonborn?
Yeah, there's actually there's only probably 1 dragonborn you can see in here.
He or she?
It looks like a he.
What color?
Black.
Okay. And where is he relative to me?
He's talking with a group of dwarves and a half elf.
How
looks
many
like they're
are
a group.
there in that group altogether?
Looks like it's a group of 4. 2 dwarves, a half elf, and him.
2 dwarves, a half elf, and him. Okay.
And they seem to be drinking and having a laugh.
Do they look like adventurers or traders? Or
They look like adventurers. Pretty kid out. He's looks like he's in leathers, and a bunch of pouches across his chest in kind of like a vest pattern. The dwarves seem to both be carrying quite a number of axes and hammers between them.
As dwarves often do.
As dwarves often do. The dwarves is 1 female, 1 male. Both actually have the similar colour hair of this dark brown, almost black. And the half elf is kind of this short, dusty brown hair. And it seems to be in a robe, but with cut sleeves.
as in no sleeves, or as like
No sleeves, yeah.
It's very Jersey Shore.
Is that a she halfling or a he halfling?
That would be he.
And is there anything about them that like makes them look like they match, like matching team colors or anything like that?
No, they don't have any matching team colors. Yeah, the only thing that even resembles that could match, no, is like, no, you can't really tell.
Okay, so if people have like matching team stuff for the tournament, they're not wearing it yet. Okay. Are there any other groups in here that look like they're potentially like they might be at the tournament?
Well, there's a bunch of adventurers, so you could assume at least half of them probably are.
Okay. Are there any that like stand out as looking like, whoa, they look tough?
Do another perception. It's better. Yeah. It's a little easy to tell considering. You notice the one of the tieflings you saw in here is leaning by one of the windows with 3 other people. And she definitely looks like she could kick ass, considering she has a bunch of daggers and a rapier on her side. And her skin color's this dark red, but she has pierced gold earrings in both ears, with a human and a half-orc and a halfling, which seems to be actually like sitting on a table next to them. All
does
very...
the half-orc look like his name is Tarvis?
No, actually. He looks like the most, I wouldn't say well-dressed, but the most well-kept. He's wearing a very clean-looking vest and shorts, almost like 3/4 lengths kind of thing, with no weapons on him, but wraps around his hands. And you can't see his feet.
Okay.
The human is probably the most unkept of the group, with black hair that's completely ruffled in every which way direction, and a beard which also looks like it's pretty unkept.
Heathen.
With a quarterstaff on his back and a shield, pretty small shield, kind of like a buckler.
Okay. And the halfling you said was sat on a table?
Yeah. With a... actually, currently maintaining a short bow, which looks like it actually has 2 strings.
Okay. And yeah. Was everyone except the tiefling a guy, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she seems to be either the leader or the center of attention, because
okay.
They're not actually laughing, they seem to be discussing something in detail.
I'm gonna head back to the bar and get a refill, and then I want to sit somewhere closer to them this time.
Okay. Yeah. You nod over to the guy behind the bar, and he refills your glass for 5 silver. And you can try and get a little closer. Again, you have to kind of push through the crowds a little bit. You're Dragonborn, so it's pretty easy to do. And yeah, you can probably get a little closer to him. There's no... there might be a chair if you... give me a perception for a chair, I guess.
I'm going to smell for a chair this time.
Smell for a chair.
Do you really want a chair if you can actually smell it?
That is true.
If I roll a 19, then yes.
Yeah, you smell a lovely, slightly damp chair. Probably looks like
antique mahogany.
It smells like some beer's been spilt on it pretty recently.
I'm gonna use my elemental attunement to just dry it off.
Oh, okay. You just push away some of the excess water,
yeah.
and then blow dry it to clear it off. Okay. Yeah, and you sit actually pretty close to him. You could actually this chair is probably actually on the table the halfling's sitting on. Fortunately, it's quite a large table, rectangular table, and you'd be sitting on the other end.
Okay. Do I attract any notice from them?
No, considering the amount of people we're in here.
Okay.
No.
So I'm just going to eavesdrop on these guys.
Okay. Give me a listening perception, I guess. See if you can hear what they're talking about.
I want to smell their words.
That doesn't work like that.
No.
8. You can't pick up all of they're saying, but you can at least pick up a few words about tournament, plan A, B, and C, and the team name of Leon, you lost the bet.
Sorry, what was that?
Leon lost the bet.
Leon lost the bet.
Yeah.
Is the team name.
Yeah, which on that makes the messy black-haired human kind of drop his eyes a little. It's like.
As in embarrassed or sad?
Embarrassed. Which kind of makes the halfling chuckle a little bit.
Okay. I'm gonna just like finish this drink casually, and if they're still here when I'm done, then I guess I will head up and get up and head out.
Okay. As this is now a little later, what is everyone else doing? Because this is now pushing into 6. Sarah and Ifnal, you guys have probably finished walking around, or at least getting to the end of walking around.
I look up at the sky this afternoon, I turn to Sarah and say, maybe we should go back to the Sunni temple now. It's getting a bit late.
Yeah, we should check in with Aaron and Serafina.
Which you guys could probably do actually at this point. Yeah, considering it'd be about 6 o'clock, yeah, you guys could have made it up to this Sunni temple.
Okay.
And yeah, you guys saw more various weapons. A few actually interesting bows, which seem to have magic stones actually in the tip of it. As well as a few.
It's framing.
As well as a few hammers and a few like different types of helmets and circlets, and a few just random like jewelry shops which actually just had stones crafted and shaped. But yeah, you guys make it over towards the Sunni temple, where Aaron and Serafina are still in the room. Serafina, you'd still be enchanting the first session, I think, at this point still. How many hours do you have left? If you started at 3, I think I said, yeah, so 3 to 6. You've done 3 hours. Okay.
I had 2 left.
Alright. And Aaron's, I imagine, bored out of his mind doing so.
But we did talk.
I'm home, I wouldn't be bored.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and you guys were talking a little while doing it. Because fortunately you can still talk while enchanting. So yeah, you 4 all regroup again.
Do we return and find that Aaron's got a completely different hairstyle now?
No. I stick with what's good.
I tell Aaron to tell the others what he told me.
Which part?
About the brotherhood.
Oh, yeah, I was listening in yesterday. Yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And there might be the brotherhood that we are not friendly with. There might be recruiting people or looking for support in the commons.
That makes sense. If you were to get gather followers for a rebellion anyway, it'd be in the downtrodden masses. Although I didn't think the people of the city were that downtrodden, but I never went to the Commons really much, so I'm not as in touch with them as maybe I should be.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them either.
I suggested that somebody could look into it, but it should probably be someone who doesn't dig up too much.
As you're all talking, you feel the ground give the slightest tremor.
Ah, crap.
Almost,
This isn't good.
almost like an earthquake, but like almost there's just like the slight tremors of like an aftershock. And then another one occurs, which is slightly more, which rattles the mirrors around the room, which of course are.
No, my mirrors.
And the glass set of teapots you have out.
Yeah, I will stop my enchantment.
Which definitely happens when you hear this low, deep, almost like a boom sound, but it's more organic, as it almost gives this droning sound behind it of just this low.
I'd go at Stefan and say, did you let Pyrox out?
Which shakes pretty much the entire building that you're in, which is the wall of the belt, which immediately quietens everything that you can hear outside through your window. Shatters most of the glass outside, which you can also hear.
As far as I'm aware, he's still in prison.
Is that normal occurrence in King's Arch, or is that something new?
That is definitely something new. You've never heard a vibration that loud.
Is it normal that gods come down and say like, "Hi, what's up?"
And the droning keeps on going, but quieter. It's just a low.
I rush outside.
You run out first, and you
I'm right behind him.
Around. You look to the east, and you see the sky's collation of clouds building, of these dark clouds, and in the epicenter of the clouds, you see a very dark bead building, which seems to trail downwards towards the east side of the commons. Ulan, right up above you as you exit out of the drunk dog, you hear the sound directly above you of the loud. And again, you look up and see this dark epicenter trail down, almost like a lightning bolt in slow motion, trail down and seem to hit a point in the lower commons to the
As
east
in
of
like
you.
the area where I am. Okay.
Yeah, literally directly in front of you to the east.
I'm gonna go for the rooftops.
Okay, and we'll take a break there.